Where are we? All right. I am live in a bunch of places. So, good evening, wherever you may be. So, I am live currently through StreamYard on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, which are a couple of my favorite platforms, believe it or not. And I'm on TikTok. Hey, Rob, hello. And I'm on Instagram. So this is exciting. I actually dug out an old iPhone that doesn't work as a phone anymore, but I was like, it can still do Wi-Fi. So now I have a bunch of devices sitting here, and this is just so cool. And I am just geeking out on it. And yeah, TikTok, please stop doing stuff. Anyway, so happy you are here. If you are here live with me, please say hello wherever you may be. Last week, my friend Leslie told me that I shouldn't go live on so many places at once because I squirrel. But this is so exciting. And it's particularly fun to do because of my topic tonight, which is, are you easily bored? So, if you are one of those ADD kind of people that just starts things and then squirrels and runs off in a million different directions and gets very frustrated with themselves because you don't get things done, then you are in the right place and talking to the right person because, yeah, it is a thing that many of us have. And I'm starting to think that most of my friends have some sort of neurodivergency of some sort or another because it just seems like all of us are having difficulty just keeping up with our busy lives. And if I'm looking in different directions, as I said, I've got different devices and I want to see everybody because this is so exciting that I can have people who are listening to what I have to say. So let's talk about, are you easily bored, and how this can be your superpower. But again, if you are on live, please drop me a comment, tell me where you are and whether you are easily bored. If you're watching this on the replay, because afterwards it will be available on various platforms, including YouTube. If you're watching this on the replay, please also drop me a message and tell me whether you're easily bored. And but here's the thing. If you are easily bored, that means that you have a very active brain and maybe one that has difficulty staying on things. And it's weird because we also get what's known as hyperfixations. And now I should tell you that I am not a medical professional or a psychologist, and I don't play one on the internet either. However, I have been living for 60 years with this brain, and I observe my friends, I observe my kids, and I have definitely some thoughts about this squirrely brain that we have. And we like to, to beat ourselves up, to kick ourselves and call ourselves ugly names because we're told, in school, we're taught, sit quietly, do your work, one thing after the other. Don't forget to show your work. It doesn't matter how obvious it might seem to you or how completely unnecessary this work might seem to you. You just sit down and do your work and be quiet and behave. And you might have been a noisy kid who got into trouble, or more likely, especially if you were socialized as a girl, you're quite likely to have just wandered off into your own world and what they call inattentive type. So anyway, like I said, not diagnosing anybody here, but the fact is that a lot of us were extremely bored in school. We're extremely bored with jobs and with things that we were doing. And maybe you wanted to start projects, but you were easily bored. And so if you started something and it didn't go the way you wanted to right away, maybe you got bored with it and moved on. And maybe you're looking back, hi, and maybe you're looking back on your life and going like, well, I started a lot of things, but I didn't stick with too many of them. And you might not feel too good about yourself because of that. But I still want to tell you how this squirrely brain that is so easily distracted and so easily bored can actually be a superpower. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight, about how that squirrely brain that you might think is a disadvantage can actually be a superpower. And so let's talk about that. So, like I said, if you went to school and you were told, sit quietly, do your work, why can't you pay attention? Why can't you focus? Why won't you do your homework? It's especially fun if you were the kind of kid who, what? Do you like lactating sacks of what? Okay. Sorry, that was just people on TikTok say really weird things. I've forgotten how weird TikTok can be. But anyway, if you were in school, and it was especially exciting if you were the kind of kid that they said, you're doing well on all the tests, why the heck won't you do your homework? And it might be that you just found the homework extremely boring. And it's not necessarily because we're all such brilliant people, though, to be honest, many of us are. Those of us who are easily bored and have squirrely brains, very often those brains will pick things up quickly, but sometimes not. Sometimes that squirrely brain goes with what looks like a learning disability, which might actually only mean that you have difficulty picking up things that don't interest you. A lot of people have that, if you don't interested, if I'm, what? You know what, Liam? I think I may just have to block you because you are being a little annoying. I just don't know how to do this on TikTok. So I'm going to have to find out how to block people on lives on TikTok. By the way, if anybody knows how to block people on TikTok, please let me know, because I haven't gone live on TikTok for a while and now I'm remembering why. But I'm going to bring my squirrely brain back to where it was. And here's where we talk about. It's, yes, focus is an issue. Maybe Leslie was right. Maybe I've got too many devices going on here. Oh, well, at least I'm not bored. I don't know about you. I hope you're not bored. But if you are, I'm sorry. So the flip side of that squirrely brain that is easily bored, starts things and then stops them, loses interest in things, is what they call hyperfixation. And the interesting thing is that we get hyperfixated on something we're actually not quickly bored by that. We are actually quite focused on it, and we want to learn all about it and know all the things about it and tell people about it, which sometimes people are not terribly interested. So that's a whole different story. But the fact remains that there's a lot of very creative people who are afraid to do things because they think that they're not going to finish them. And that's a shame, because like I said, I want you to see that squirrely brain, that easily bored, that jumping from one thing to the other. I want you actually to see that it's a sign of your creativity. It's a sign of your connection to what's out there, to the world. And I want you to see it as a sign of your greatness. Okay? Because I don't want to talk about like, oh, you should be an entrepreneur and you should be a visionary and all those things, because yes, a lot of times people who have that kind of ability to see big things and to imagine things and to get easily bored with details, they do sometimes move into more of a, how should I say it, selfish and abusive kind of behavior. And I would not recommend anybody go there, because it's not good for them. It's not good for It's not good for anybody. So that's not what I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is that I want you to realize and to give yourself some credit for creativity, for vision, for the ability to imagine things and to dream things. And maybe at that moment, you're not going to be working on the details. Maybe you need to join forces with somebody who has a more stable way of looking at things. But I just want to really encourage you to not be too hard on yourself if you have difficulty staying with one thing, because it can be a superpower and a gift to be able to envision things, to jump from one thing to another, to see a higher level picture, maybe, to imagine things. And it's okay to not be that focused. Okay, sometimes we need focus. Absolutely. If you're driving a car or something, you really don't want to be wandering off into the wild blue yonder. So sometimes you do need to learn to focus. But in many other situations, you do not have to stay in the, walk in line. You don't have to follow the rules all the time. Again, if it's a matter of safety, yes, you do need to follow the rules. I'm not talking about, you know, chaos and anarchy for their own sake. But the point is that there needs to be space in the world for people to be chaotic, for people to be in their own world, in their own place, to march to their own drummer. And it's okay to march to your own drummer. And it's okay not to follow the milestones that other people might have set. I was talking today with somebody who said, well, I have a learning disability. And so I'm really only getting into, really only felt like an adult when I was like 25. And that's okay, because that person is one of the most creative and brilliant people that I've ever met. And I'm grateful to know that person. And I don't know what kind of disability they think they have when they are so brilliant and so creative, and they make things with their hands and they design things and they do so many beautiful things. But they have this image of themselves as someone who is learning disabled. And it's just classic, because that those are the labels that get placed on the kids who, don't fit in the boxes, who don't, march along the way. Sometimes it takes people longer, maybe to finish school, maybe to finish university, maybe they don't go to university, maybe they, you know, there's a rabbi that I follow who originally, instead of going to medical school like her parents wanted her to do, she became a shoemaker and moved to Japan. And well, it turns out she was deeply dyslexic. That was also an issue. And I don't know how a person can become a rabbi when they're deeply dyslexic, but I do know several. So it takes a very special kind of person to do such a text-heavy profession and still be able to do it, even if they're dyslexic. So it just goes to show, first of all, that you should not give up on your dreams. If you want to be a rabbi and you're dyslexic, people have done it and you can do it too. But the other thing is that, like I said, if you are somewhat neurodivergent in some way, if you feel that you don't fit in, if you're queer, if you're some sort of discriminated minority, anything that makes you different, whether it's because you jump from thing to thing, or whether it's because of your circumstances, or whatever it is, I think it's really, really important that you give yourself grace, that you don't that you don't take on the labels that might have been put on you by well-meaning educators who, I have a BEd myself. I have worked as a high school teacher, and I know that there are people who went to school and then they went to university and then they got an education degree and then they became teachers. And these people have been in school their entire lives, and many of them do wonderful work with children. Don't get me wrong. Some of my kids' best teachers followed that trajectory. But some people also, like, because they've been in school their entire lives, that's all they know. As far as they're concerned, that is the world. And if you don't fit in the boxes of school, as we know it here in North America for sure, they don't know what to do with a kid who doesn't fit in the boxes. And kids can come out really damaged because of labels that they get. So, again, just wanted to say, if you are someone who has maybe not lived up to their potential, I have to tell you, for many years, the word potential was a trigger word for me. It's really taken a lot of work to be able to talk about not living up to potential without feeling really bad. So if you have not lived up to your potential, if you have felt labeled, if you have felt that you're not fitting into the boxes, it's okay. It's a superpower. You may not be able to see right away how that superpower works, but I promise you, your people are out there, and your people will help you discover these superpowers. And when you found your people, you will be unbound. You will be unlimited, and you will be able to make this world a better place because you are a shining light. Every human soul is a shining light. I believe that. We are all created in the image of God, in the image of the divine, and everyone deserves all the good things simply by virtue of being human. I have to tell you that as far as I'm concerned, you should have all the dignity and all the human rights and all the good things just because you're a human. So that's one thing. But quite aside from that, if you are someone who is somewhat neurodivergent, somewhat not fitting in the molds, not walking in the neatly in the line, if you color outside the lines and you've been told that that is a bad thing, I am here to tell you that it is not a bad thing. It is a superpower. So I'm going to, hello, Jen. So I am going to close this down in a couple of minutes because it looks like I'm almost at 20 minutes, which is about the length that I like to do. So again, if you are watching this live and you have something to say that doesn't involve weird stuff like on TikTok, and if anybody wants to tell me how to block people on TikTok, that would be great. At least during a live. How do you block people on a live? Please let me know, because I've had some interesting comments here. And yeah, hi Jen. I'm almost done actually, but the replay will be there if you want to see. I'm just talking about how being different is a superpower. Easily bored and somewhat neurodivergent is a superpower. So anyway, so if you're watching live, if you are watching on the replay, I would love to know what you think of this concept that not fitting into the boxes can be a superpower. It can also lead to a lot of trouble. All superpowers need to be, you need to learn how to deal with it and how to survive in the world with this superpower. But it's still a superpower. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. So you have a great evening. Now, bored easiest on high school graduation. I believe you, Jen. I know you. You are an extremely creative person. And yeah, creative people are easily bored in high school. So next Sunday, I will not be here because it is Rosh Hashanah, and so I'm like going into the high holiday period, and it's going to be a little hit and miss. Like the Sunday after that, I will be, and then the 2 Sundays after that, I won't be. So anyway, I will be letting you know what's happening here. So you have a great evening. Remember, I love you. I would love to know your thoughts on this, and I'll talk to you again soon. So not next Sunday, but the Sunday after that. And you can always see like my reels and my TikToks and all of those things. And I am always excited to chat with you if you want to hop into the leave me a comment or even hop into the DMs, you can do that, and we will talk. So have a good one. Good night. Let's see, to end all the broadcasts.